Malin Dennis.
And I'm your other great co-host, Nestor.
Good evening, my brothers and sisters of the AFR world. It is the one, the only, from the great PNW, G Money.
Like how he brings up sisters when June's not in. Navy man.
June, you're here in spirit. Hope you get your car taken care of, my friend. Gentlemen, we're here for another Wednesday. It is NBA Finals Eve. And you know what? I think that warrants a cheers from us all so that we get off to a good start this week. So raise them high. You got something at home. Cheers to you.
ABJBs.
What whiskey you got tonight, Nestor?
I got the good old. I haven't really touched this in a while. So.
Oh, you still got
the Kentucky Derby Walford.
Good.
Nice. What about you guys? What are you sipping on?
I got I'm just drinking old number 7 tonight, actually. On some old fashioned Jack Daniels. Crazy.
It's as Shabuzi would say, me and Jack Daniels got a history. I'm drinking some more 100 proof bottled and bond.
Oh shit.
100 proof.
Talking about.
All right. I am just finishing the Espolón that we had started last week. So take that upon myself. Even though we don't have a halftime break, gentlemen, we will make our own half or second half cheers at some point. So just heads up.
Yeah, right.
All right. Let's get into the show this week. We've got the Thunder and the Pacers officially in the finals as of 2 days ago. Game 1 is tomorrow night. And Thunder were kind of waiting around for the Pacers a little bit, but Pacers eventually finished off the Knicks in 6 games. And the matchup is officially set. So I figured we would go around and predict who is winning and how many games, of course, and why you think that is. G Money, let's start with you. What have you got in this year's finals?
I like the Thunder. I like the Thunder in 7. And I really think this is probably the best matchup we could have gotten for the NBA Finals. You got 2 young teams. The Oklahoma Thunder play a frantic game of defense. I mean, they come at you from everywhere. The Pacers use all their bench, and they will just rotate players in playing defense on you. I just look at the game and I'm like, man, this should be a really good series that should go 7. There are a lot of questions, how the Pacers going to handle SGA? Will the Pacers continue their torrid 3-point shooting? Yeah, they were the best 3-point shooting team in the playoffs. They shot 43.9% from 3-point land. And that's unheard of. They've got 5 players that'll just bang it from 3-point land. Can they do that? Because when we saw the Thunder play Minnesota and definitely play Denver, they had no problem rotating and showing different defenses on those 3-point shooters to basically shut them down. So I really do think it's going to be a really good series. And I'm wearing my Sonic shirt. Why? Because fucking Thunder should be the goddamn Seattle Sonics. But I'm not sore. I'm not angry. Don't harbor any ill will. Like fuck, I don't.
Speaking of ill will, Malin, who do you have winning and how many games?
Yeah, I don't like the Thunder. I hate them. I hope they all get diarrhea, syphilis, stub their toe, and die. But I think they're going to win the series, and that's unfortunate for basketball because the bad guys shouldn't win. And I know a lot of people don't think that the Thunders aren't bad guys, but that owner is a dick, man. The way he lied to Seattle, the way he took the team away from those fans, and Thunder fans are like, "Oh, we deserve blah 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 blah." Whatever, man. He supported a fucking Hurricane Katrina team and the New Orleans Hornets for like one season, and everyone thought you should have a team. You're all white. Like, I love the optics in the NBA where a bunch of white people clap for a bunch of black people putting a ball in a bucket. That's good. Adam Silver is getting all upset about why no one gets mad when Kansas City and Buffalo play in a playoff game, but everyone gets mad when it's Oklahoma City and Indiana. Well, it's basketball. First of all, the Super Bowl, when you play the Super Bowl, like, it's not played in like it's played at a neutral field. NBA doesn't have the luxury of not being in small markets. Those are small markets. Oklahoma City is a small market. I think they're like 44th in the nation as far as markets. I know that Seattle was in the top 10 in medium market. So tell me again why that made sense to move the Sonics to Oklahoma. I digress. And you get rid of the beautiful green and yellow, that disgusting gas station shit that they wear on a regular basis and making Canadians famous. Fuck them. So I mean, yeah. I can't hope for a team plane to crash because I think Oklahoma gets home court first. So, but I think Oklahoma's probably going to win in 6. Disgusting. It's not right. I hope Indiana wins. I think Indiana deserves a title more than Oklahoma. And you know what? I've bet against Oklahoma every series they've been in, and they've won in dramatic fashion. So why would I stop now? So yeah, but by all means, fuck Oklahoma City. Trash ass people.
I'm sorry. So you were saying Indiana in 6?
No, Oklahoma. I'm picking Oklahoma to win
Oh,
in
yeah.
6.
Okay.
I'm just hoping that I'm wrong again, like I've been wrong against Indiana.
Got it.
And I hope it's because the finals have to be forfeited because before game 3, the Oklahoma team playing crashes. They don't have a team anymore.
Crystal clear. Okay.
I understand how bad that sounds, but I'm totally fine with it.
Nestor, what do you think is the outcome here?
I can't lie to you guys. I'm not incredibly excited about these finals.
What?
That's the first thing. I think the last time I was actually excited about a finals was, besides when the Heat were in it, is I guess Toronto and Golden State. Yeah. I love the Golden State losing in that final. That was amazing.
You didn't like the Boston Golden State series?
No, not
You
really.
should fuck.
I just
Deserve
feel like
get ghosted.
the Thunder have better depth on that bench. I feel like they're gonna be able to keep up with the Pacers pace. What the fuck? Yeah, I see Thunder in 6, winning this. Good for SGA. Honestly, U team, young. Like all these guys are uh very humble, great. Like you see the post match interviews. Um, Good for them, but not entirely excited about the finals. To be honest with you, I would have rather wanted something more toxic, like Lakers and Boston. Honestly,
Wouldn't
You
we
said
all?
you said humble. I think you meant hungry because they're all skinny as shit. Um, they don't feed them anything in Oklahoma. And no, man, fuck SGA. Why are you rooting for Canadians? What the hell is that?
I
maple
guess
syrup.
I will be the only person here who I'm taking Indiana in 7
God, I hope you're right.
for 2 reasons. One, kind of logical. The other one, not really. I'll start there. Uh, I just feel like everyone has doubted them for most of this postseason, and here they are once again, not favored to win a series, and it's like, how many times are we going to be like, oh man, I didn't see the Pacers coming out like this. Like, I feel like they're going to do the same thing and steal a game on the road. Whether that's game 1 or 2, I don't know, but hopefully it's game 1 tomorrow. And then,
Preach, brother.
it gets people kind of like, all right, OKC's got to bounce back. And it would not shock me at this point, seeing what the Pacers have done for the past couple of months now, if they are back in Indiana and are up 2 games to OKC's 1. And then from there, it's like, could I see them winning 2 more before OKC figures it out? Yeah, I think they could. Which brings me to my next point. I think it's just more of their experience. Pascal Siakam, he's won a championship before in the same kind of role he's in right now. Also, more importantly, I think Rick Carlisle, championship coach, he's had one of the most impressive runs I think any head coach has had in a playoffs with the 2011 Mavs. They swept the Pau Kobe Lakers, took down the upstart Thunder team with KD, Russ, James Harden, and then go to the finals to take down the Heatles, the brand new Heatles. 6 games. Like, he's used to having really uphill championship battles. So I think he's gonna have this team coached up, ready to go. And these guys are not new to deep playoff runs. So Thunder, that is one thing they don't have a whole lot of, is deep playoff experience. So
I hope that Halliburton has to pay a lot of money in fines, because if he does, that means that Indiana's winning ball games. And I really love that my brother calls my mom on Wednesday nights when we're doing the show so that I can hear her talk to him live on the show. That's always awesome. I'm going to have to kick him in the dick for that.
Good son.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so I'm the only person think the Pacers in 7. The rest of you guys,
I hope they win.
safe.
I hope they win. I'm just trying to be logical. I hope they win.
I really
hey,
wish.
Jalen, I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So that when we make these picks, they mean something. Okay? We're not going to add it into the ride or die in 5, right? Why don't we do a thing? It's golf related. Why don't we do a thing called the Green Jacket, where we all make our picks, whether it's a golf tournament, the NBA Finals, college football, NFL, like all the picks we're going to do, and whoever's right, we award a green jacket to that person. And we start keeping track of how many green jackets somebody accumulates over time. That way, it carries a little bit of weight.
Yeah, I think the Super Bowl is the only weird one, because it's like you just have to get that.
Well, maybe we don't do the Super Bowl, but maybe we do playoffs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that.
But you should be rewarded when you get something right on all these picks we do.
See,
we get a lot of them wrong. Let's get happy about the little bit we get right.
Yes, I agree. We'll figure something out here. All right, let's keep it moving into community comments. What you guys have had to say about what's been going on in the world of sports this past week. Let me flip over to good old TikTok, land of opportunity. So when the Pacers advanced to the finals, 2 days ago, that video. All right, so Pacers making it to the finals. Richard Payton said, "Thank you for being a Hoops fan." Fair enough. Matt says, "I'm the Pacers fan, but Tyrese Halliburton in certain games disappears, and you can't have that against OKC. If he plays every single night, Pacers have a shot. He's the key.
When does he disappear during the playoffs, though? Hasn't he been averaging like over 30 playoffs?
This playoffs, you really
I-
can't
I-
say that too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think he's referring to portions of the game where you don't.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's disappeared for a game where you've had that. As an example, game one he scores 32 points, and then game two he scores 28. And all of a sudden, game three he scores 5. And he's missing everything. You don't see that from him, but you do see at times where they actually shut him down for a quarter or so, and he figures it out. Or the coach Carlisle figures it out, figures out how to get him the ball. So maybe that's what he's referring to, because he hasn't disappeared for a full game.
Mm-hmm.
We're not looking like.
The thing I love about Halliburton, though, man, is that he racks up a lot of assists and some rebounds. Like, he's
Yeah.
not averaging a triple-double, but, like, he's, like, 25 and 5 and 10 at least. Like, he's all over the stat sheet. I love his hustle. I will say, though, well, if you guys seen the video when they announced the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, it was very Tatum-like. He thought he was gonna get it, and then they said Siakam, and he was like, "Never mind."
Light skin.
I know y'all saw it. That was funny as shit.
He's
That
like,
was funny.
yeah, oh, yeah, no.
That was funny.
Nah.
Love me some Halliburton in these playoffs, though, man.
Yes, he's definitely been a highlight for sure. Metatron says Indiana versus Oklahoma. The NBA is crying, but the basketball should be good. Mother Goose says locking down Brunson was beautiful. And then someone else says bye-bye New York with the picture of
If your handle is Mother Goose, you automatically say anything you say. That's a great handle.
Let's see. Okay, so another big one was the Knicks firing Coach Thibodeau. So I figured we'd talk about this first, and then I'll read the comments here. Well, it's actually not that many. It's just 2 people arguing. So yeah, let's talk about it. Do you guys think he should have been fired? Like, do you think the Knicks misstepped here, or was this a step in the right direction?
I think they misstepped a year early.
Yeah.
I think as long as you're continuing to advance in the playoffs and go deeper in the playoffs, you give him another year. It's not like they reached the level of the playoffs last year and regressed this year. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They beat the Boston Celtics. They didn't just beat the Boston Celtics because Tatum got hurt. They were beating us with Tatum healthy. Does he have some quirks? Yes. Does he play starters too much? Yes. I don't think they lost to Indiana because they were tired, though. I think they lost to Indiana because the Knicks got foul happy at the wrong times, multiple times, and a lot of Knicks got in a lot of foul trouble. And they were never able to get into a cohesive game plan that Thibodeau wanted them to be in. Like I put in our chat earlier this week, I think that he got fired the same reason why the Denver coach got fired. The players don't want a hard coach. They don't want somebody who's going to coach them hard. And Thibodeau, for as much as he's losing his hair, he's got a lot of fire in when it comes to coaching people hard. I think it's just another thing that kind of shows how soft players can be. They can't take constructive criticism. They don't want to be coached. They want to go out there and play. I hope he gets another coaching opportunity. I do think he's a good head coach. I think he has the opportunity to be a really good head coach. I think he has to dial it down just a little bit. I think he has to dial it down a little bit. But I mean, he's been around the NBA for as long as we can remember for a reason.
Yeah.
Like So hopefully he gets another opportunity. This is the second team that he's taken to the Eastern Conference Finals. So yeah, I think this is just Dolan doing Dolan things. I don't know what he expected. Um, whatever. Dolan, you're a dick.
Go ahead, G Money.
Yeah. Most of what Malin said was accurate. He was fired probably a season too soon. I had thought that the Knicks wouldn't get past Detroit. Why? Because Thibodeau does not use his bench, and that's his downfall. Is that he doesn't use his bench. So when you get into playoffs, you have to rely on your bench at times. He didn't know what combinations worked because he never utilized them during the regular season. But the fact that he took a team, and let's not forget, Brunson doesn't play defense. Cat definitely doesn't play defense. Mikal Bridges, who they traded for, had a seriously down year shooting wise compared to the year before. And Josh Hart got to the point where they decided they were going to put him on the bench. So he didn't construct the team. That was the GM and the owner. He just had to coach them, but he should have used his bench more. And even with not really utilizing his bench in the regular season and utilizing it a little bit more in the playoffs, he still took them to the Eastern Conference Finals. He still overcame 3 double-digit leads against Boston to beat them. And you want to fire him because, well, we had higher expectations. Bullshit, you had higher expectations. I think after you beat Boston, you had higher expectations, but not before then. You didn't have higher expectations before then. You wanted to go head to head with Boston when the season began and hope that you could beat them. And you were thinking that maybe you would be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals at that point. You just weren't ready with the team that you had to go against a team that plays all their players, great combinations, and plays really good defense. So
And
yeah, you fired him a year too soon. No, was absolutely right. A year too soon. You give him one more year, and the players already complain about Cat not really playing defense,
it's
and
not
and
his
so
fault that they made that trade with Minnesota. Randall fits so
no,
much better with the Knicks than Cat does with his little zesty ass. Which I looked into that, Jalen, because you called him zesty last week. I looked into all that shit. Yeah, he's a zesty motherfucker. He's a little too zesty.
mm,
Yeah, I mean that was a bad trade. It's not
yeah,
a good trade. I know that the Knicks went further this year, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily better than what they were with Randall. I think they needed someone like Randall that was going to be tough on the inside, not someone like Cat that was going to be zesty on the inside. Um, I don't know. And I say give 'em another year. I mean, it's not like they would have gone to the finals probably next year anyways. But there's a lot of really good teams that never go to the finals and you end up firing your head coach. I mean, what was it? Jeff Van Gundy back in New York in the mid '90s never got past Michael and a bunch of people. They didn't fire him for a long time. Like,
yeah.
why all of a sudden, like, is it finals or bust in New York? You haven't won since '71. How about how
Mm.
about be excited that you're relevant and like, I don't know.
Nestor, what do you?
Nestor, what do you think?
I think they
Mhm.
they beat the Celtics despite of the coach, not because of him.
Damn.
So I get the media frenzy of like they shouldn't have fired him, but I just think he's a decent coach and that's about it. Um, I don't see how you could you know be completely like how could they uh, they overachieved in my opinion when they beat the Celtics. The Celtics underachieved. So maybe they're just getting ahead of the game a bit. Hopefully they have something good planned because otherwise they're gonna look stupid.
Hmm. I do definitely think that they fired him a year early because he by all means succeeded or like past expectations. Because he took them further than I've ever seen the Knicks go in the playoffs in my memory. So you've got that going for you. Also, the front office built that team specifically to beat Boston. It was like, how can we combat the Celtics? And they did that.
Did it?
So it's like, what? I don't understand. Like, what? You think he was just gonna go all the way, run the gauntlet, and bring home a ring? Like, he got him farther than he did the previous year. So I just thought like they would give him at least one more year. Um, but I do think that part of the reason Indiana was able to beat them was fatigue. Not the bench not playing as many minutes as they should. I still think there's guys on that bench that Thibodeau didn't even know were on the team. He probably looked down at the end and was like, "Who are you?" I guess we're gonna have to have you play because these guys are gassed right now. And I think emotionally, when you're always playing from 20 points down every game, like in the Boston series, I think it wears you down mentally too. So by the time they got to the conference finals, it was like it looked like they didn't have too much left in the tank. Regardless, though, I still think they should have given him another year.
I
But
do also think that with them building the team to beat Boston and then they beat Boston, I think they might have had the idea of if we get past Boston, we're going to the final.
yes,
I mean, I think that's kind of the mindset they had, and I think they I don't even know if it was just fatigue from just playing all your starters in a regular season. I think there might have been a little bit of emotional fatigue of we just beat the crap out of Boston, and oh wait, we still have to play the Eastern Conference Finals.
yes.
I think there was a little bit of immaturity on the players' part, which also isn't the coach's fault.
Hmm.
I guess it can be a little bit of, yeah, we beat Boston, so we're going to the finals. Like Indiana's going to be easy. And they didn't watch Indiana against Cleveland. They didn't pay attention
Hmm.
to what was going on. And I mean, so I mean, they did what they set out to do, which was beat Boston. But I think they just kind of expected that maybe that would have been the Eastern Conference Finals when they played Boston.
Yeah,
And then if they did that, they would be going to the finals. But here we are. We got Halliburton in Indiana. Whew, barn burner. Let's
yeah.
go.
That was something that I was mentioning in our on our TikTok was that it literally seemed like the Knicks treated the Boston series like it was their finals, and once they won that, it was like, oh wait, we have more basketball to play before we get to the finals. Like, yeah, that is possible. That's how the matchups work sometimes. I do think their biggest issue though is that they fired him, and there's no clear front runner like candidate on who they would bring in to replace him. Like
Oh, they're
there's
hiring Doc.
hiring who?
Oh, it's going to be Doc Rivers.
Oh God.
I think it's going to be Doc.
God.
Don't you
Isn't
think
he
it's going
with
to be Doc?
isn't he with Milwaukee?
As of right
Yeah, but
now, I think he's still there.
he's not the head coach. He can
Mm.
leave as long as it's a step up.
I don't
I mean,
I don't see them taking Mike Malone because that seems like you're getting the same type of coach more or less. So I don't know. It just seemed
no, they're gonna get a players coach, and who's the biggest name for a players coach that's gonna make Dolan just wet the bed at night thinking about it? Yeah, Doc Rivers.
Well, it was talked about that they wanted to have permission to interview Jason Kidd of Dallas, and Boston's old coach, who's now the coach of Houston, wanted permission to talk to him, the head coach, and Houston said, "Yeah, go fuck a duck."
He'd be an idiot to leave Houston. That's a young, talented team. That would be. I mean, that'd be a good hire. That'd be a really good hire. But he'd be dumb to leave Houston, in my opinion.
Well, Houston has to allow them to even talk to him, and then there has to be compensation. The same with Jason Kidd, right? There has to be. Dallas has to allow the conversation to take place, and then if indeed they come to an agreement, then there has to be compensation. So, I mean, I don't see either of those going anywhere. I don't, definitely not Houston
Who
and
else?
Dallas.
Who else but Doc Rivers could end up having the opportunity to coach in Boston, L.A., Philly, and New York? Let's just run the gamut on some of the biggest cities.
And Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, everyone. So yeah, I don't really count Milwaukee. They're barely American. Like they're like above the Canadian border.
Let's see what the
Weird.
comments on TikTok said. 21 Colts said, "This is messed up. I'm a Pacer fan, but come on, he got to the East Finals in the first year with Cat and Bridges." Uh, Momo just says, "What?" I'm not Kirby says, "I mean, with that roster, I sure hope you'd make the conference finals." And then that's when him and somebody else got into this back and forth. And then Robert Ortiz just says this was wrong move for the Knicks to do this.
I just
Yeah.
hey, you know what? What did Jason Kidd do with Luka Brunson and Porzingis? Same squad. Nothing.
True.
So why would he be good in New York? Brunson's like, "You're my old coach." Mavericks are so goddamn stupid, man, with the people they give up.
Yeah.
Just can't keep. I just keep thinking about the man that there's no reason they should have lost Brunson, man. They could have had Kyrie, Brunson, and Luke on the same squad.
No, that's wild.
Mavericks are wild.
All right, before we get to the last video here,
Yeah.
let's take another cheers.
Oh, let me get some alcohol.
There you go.
Hey, so I got a question for you before we take this shot, Jalen.
Uh-huh.
What the hell is going on with Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers? What
Ooh.
is he gonna sign? Is he not gonna sign? The Steelers just, I mean, people are just like they were actually talking on ESPN about Aaron Rodgers being absent during OTAs, like he was a part of the team, but he hasn't signed. I was watching FS1 and Joey Taylor talk about how he should be at OTAs right now because he doesn't know anybody. I'm like, bitch with the brown jugs, like he's not even on the squad. Like, what are we?
Yeah.
He hasn't even
I mean,
signed. Like, when is he going to be on an NFL roster, man? We're in June, and Aaron Rodgers isn't on a roster. Like, is he going to retire? Or is he going to be a Steeler? Because that's pretty much his only option.
Yeah.
Minnesota doesn't want him.
Yeah, so if he's going to sign with the Steelers, my guess would be middle of July towards the end of August. Why? Because he fucking hates going to camp. He hates it with a fucking passion. So if he can sign and then show up with like maybe 1 week of training camp left, so yeah, like shake hands. Okay, you're my wide receivers. Okay, cool, and that'll be that.
Roster. But you also got to love the fact, Gary, that he used to rail on Favre doing that in Green Bay. And he hated when Favre did it in Green Bay, and he's literally become a carbon copy of Brett Favre minus maybe he sent out dick pics to somebody, I don't know. Brett Favre was out there sending dick pics to people in New York. So maybe he did that in New York. I don't know. But it's literally a carbon copy of what Brett Favre did in the end of his career, and Aaron Rodgers doing the same goddamn thing.
Learn from the best.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I want to see him on the Steelers. To be honest with you, I want to see what would happen.
Yeah, at
I want to
this
see what
point,
would happen.
it's like, come on,
Why not?
that seems like
Why
it
not?
should happen. But if you're the Steelers, it's like even if August rolls around and he's like, "All right, I'm ready to make a deal," at that point, I'm like you've had this entire summer to come to the table. And like
Yeah.
now, as
You.
we've got 30 days left, and we already have Mason Rudolph who's taking all the reps. Now you want to come through here, like go kick rocks.
You've
man.
got to get there. You got to get there before training camp, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
In order for anyone to take it seriously, you got to get there.
yeah, but not in his opinion. You know, he
Not in
doesn't. He's an MVP. Does not need to show up. He's a Super Bowl winner. He does not need to show up for training camp. Training camp is for losers, and he's not a loser. And aside from the fact he's in a cave right now and doesn't even know it's fucking June. As far as he knows, it's still April.
The last time that Aaron Rodgers was a Super Bowl champion, I was in my first year of marriage, and I'm divorced now. So like, that ship has sailed. Let's get back to reality. That life is different 15 years later. The landscape has changed. The last time you were MVP, you were getting spanked by Tom Brady on your own turf before the Super Bowl during COVID. So the NFL's a different beast. The NFL has proven that they don't need Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wants to think that the NFL needs him, but they don't really need him. They don't need the media circus. The NFL would have been fine the last 2 years without the media circus of Aaron Rodgers in the New York Jets. And they'll be fine after he retires. Brett Favre learned the exact same thing. Hell, Tom Brady has learned it. That the NFL is just fine without old great quarterbacks playing in the league. There's always going to be somebody else.
Yeah, it is not the NBA where they're going through this identity crisis right now. It is
Ooh,
the
yeah.
complete opposite, where it's like nobody is bigger than the brand. On that, let us
Let's
cheers.
go, gentlemen. Nestor, are you even paying attention? What the fuck?
That he froze up.
Still,
I hope he ends up a Pittsburgh Steeler. I just want to see what would happen.
Oh no.
Wouldn't it be awesome if he goes to the Steelers and then they have a losing record for the first time in Tomlin's career? That's what would
I
be
could-
really.
I could see him going to the Steelers, and then that first game against Cleveland, Myles Garrett blows him the fuck up, and that's it. It's over. He's like not getting up off the turf. He's having flashbacks to the Giants game. He's
He
like,
tells one of the rookies,
I'm done.
"Sorry,
I'm done.
DK Metcalf with like career low numbers after leaving the Seahawks, thinking that the grass is greener.
Goes on
These are
Catfish show the next day."
These are the moments I live for.
The weird thing though, it's like they don't Rodgers and the Steelers, like they don't really seem to mix. Like the Steelers are almost like
Mm-mm.
they're just stuck in this really bad spot right now where it's like we could really use you, but we actually don't want you here because you don't really blend with our kind of values and whatnot. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem to be that, like he just doesn't seem like a Steeler, but they could both, not that they need each other, but they could really use each other.
They
right
could
now.
benefit from each other. Maybe. I'd love to see them crash and burn and fall apart.
Yes, I would.
I mean,
both
the
parties.
Steelers now, as I say, the Steelers now are like the Colts were, right? I mean, let me just get some washed up quarterback who made a name for himself, and we'll win. We'll go to the playoffs and we'll win. But it doesn't work that way. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, his second year with the Jets, you know, they had a great defense. They had a great defense the first year, but he only lasted 3 plays. They had a good offense. I mean, the O-line wasn't that good, but you know, they were a good team. The Steelers, you look at the same type of situation. They've got a good defense. They've got a decent offensive team. O-line probably a little bit better than what the Jets O-line was when he played. But all I see when I see him, if he indeed does finally sign with the Jets and roll in there like 1 week left in training camp, is just a slimmer version of Roethlisberger. You know, the last couple of years of Roethlisberger was like that man could not move. I I mean, it was like he saw a herd of elephants coming at him, and he tried to get out of the way, but he was so goddamn slow, he
Did he
got
really
hit
try?
by him.
Did he
Well,
really
I
try
mean,
to get out of the way?
he did, but it was like watching freaking fat people fucking slow motion. It was just painful.
Yikes. For a second there, I thought you said watching fat people in fucking slow motion, but then I realized what you really said, and that was
Oh, that's vivid.
worse.
Well, let's get to the last video here. Who is winning the finals and how many games? The question that we answered earlier. Fine folks on TikTok here. Frank says Pacers in 7. Let's go, Frank. Our very own Bridget says yes, sirs. Didn't give a game. That's all right.
That's okay.
Pacers.
Thomas Wendell says a game 7 would be fire. Didn't pick a team, but I think he's wearing a Pacers. Yeah, he's wearing a Pacers jersey in his profile picture, so we would assume Pacers. Angelo just says Pacers. T says Pacers in 7. Random person says Thunder in 5. Shane, Pacers are going to win. Cons says 4-1, 4-1 Thunder, no question. Zach says I want the Pacers because of their story, but OKC in 6 or 7, unfortunately.
You know, the only comment that doesn't make sense to me was the Pacers fan that said a game 7 would be fire. If it's your favorite team in the NBA Finals, like I don't know about you, Jalen, but whenever the Celtics are in the finals, like if we could go just 4 games, that'd be great.
Yeah,
If we could just get it
ideally.
over with and have the trophy and raise the banner, that's what I want. I don't need drama.
Yes.
I've had drama throughout the playoffs getting to the finals. Give me a sweep. Like Super
mean-
Bowl for the Seahawks, I get it. It was boring for everyone else because we beat the shit out of the Denver Broncos 4 straight quarters. But I loved it. My heart rate loved it. My there was no risk of a heart attack. It was just easy sailing. For a long time. It was a great, easy game to watch, and it was fun. It was exciting. It wasn't stressful. If the Celtics have to go 7 games, man, I mean, I remember in 2008, 2009, we had to take the Lakers to 7 games twice. We won one and lost the other. That was stressful.
Yes.
Like game 7, if that's my favorite team, that Pacers fan's an idiot. Needs to stop eating corn and too gassy.
Yeah, well, that is indeed if he's eating that corn and not utilizing it for other nefarious purposes.
Oh God.
I would giving his girl the business with an airborne.
I'm just Ryan says Pacers in 6. 88 says Thunder all the way. That's my team. Cowboy Angel says Thunder. I love Thunder. Both teams are great and deserving of being in the finals. It'll be a great series. Pacers in 7. Thunder in 5. Pacers in 6. They better than the Nuggets. This is the same guy that same Pacers fan that didn't pick a game, but now he's back. Pacers in 6, and they're better than Nuggets. I don't know what that's relevant, but yeah, that's it.
Hey, I must say, Jalen, I meant to say this earlier, and it's funny because we're talking about the Pacers here and corn and stuff like that. I have a new motto for life. Ready to hear this? Beautiful. Took me a long time to think about it, riding back home after dropping my kids off. Motto for my life is #built like corn. Built like corn. Want to know why? Because you might have to go through a lot of shit, but I'm gonna come out on the other end unscathed. Right? Built like corn. Throw at me what you want, man. Built like corn, people. I'm gonna market that. Put it on bumper stickers, t-shirts. It's gonna be great.
That Indiana needs to come get that.
Yeah. And not that yes sir shit that Bridget was saying. Built like corn, baby. Pass through the ass of a fat person, we can win an NBA championship.
I do love the yes sir, of course, but built
Mm.
like corn.
I mean,
It's another good.
eating like corn. I mean, it tastes good going down, and when it comes out, in shit, it still looks like corn.
Unscathed.
Exactly.
It doesn't
It's unscathed.
change.
You can't beat down corn, man. Doesn't matter what
Yeah.
it goes through. It's gonna
I'm-
come out the same
I mean,
way.
you
It's
s-
gonna come out the other
I'm-
end, and it's gonna be all right.
I mean, your
It'll be
stomach
all right.
can dissolve almost anything. It can't dissolve
Yeah.
corn. Corn is fucking strong.
You can't beat corn.
Nope.
Corn is
Huh?
undefeated.
Just snip
Corn is
this
undefeated, my
to
friends.
somebody, and they're like, "Hey, this is talking about."
Hey man, I got everybody in Starbucks doing hashtag built like corn right now because I put in all these manager chats and all this stuff with DMs, and it's like throwing up the corn emoji on chats and stuff. It's hilarious. Because hey, in life you deal with a lot of shit. It all depends on how you come out the other end, and you know what? Corn comes out better than most.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I'm gonna use that in Slack tomorrow.
I'm telling you, it's gonna catch on, man. It's great.
On that note, let's get to the Ride or Die in 5, which I believe this
June
will
was
probably
the
be our
only birthday.
last entry in the Ride or Die 5 until September. 'Cause, next
Yeah.
week, folks, spoiler, we will not be having a show. We're taking next week off, as half of the show will be in Vegas. So
We'll go through all 7 games before we get back to Wednesday, right?
right, yeah.
The next
exactly.
one.
So if we're not doing the
That
show
is
Yeah.
next week, this should be over by the time that we come back. So, yeah.
Whew.
Let's make this last week count. We're only predicting the first 2 games because after that, it's kind of wacky trying to predict that far into the future. So we all went. Well, everyone besides June went 1-0 last week.
I said, loser. Their guys all broken into.
So let's start off with game 1 tomorrow night. G Money. Who is winning?
OKC. OKC will win by 8. I don't know if that's going to be accurate, but I've got OKC winning. I don't know what the point spread is on that, but I just see them coming out. They're playing in that tertiary market, and all the whole city's going to turn out for them. All 40,000. They'll be in the stadium. They'll be outside the stadium. They'll be chanting. Nobody will understand what they're saying because they'll be drinking cheap beer and cheap liquor. But OKC will win, and then they'll all go home and do their sisters.
All the white people.
G Money is painting a very, very vivid photo.
All the white people are going to turn out for the game because nobody else can afford to go to it because of the prices. I'm gonna go. I know. I'm skipping you. I know, Jim, but I'm gonna go ahead and take. I'm gonna take OKC on game 1. I just think that there's gonna be a lot of hype. When white people get rowdy, man, start drinking too many Busch Lights. I mean, if Oklahoma loses, how many wives are gonna get hit that night? So you gotta go. OKC on game 1, just because we don't condone domestic violence. But we know it's gonna happen if OKC
Yeah.
loses 1. So you got to go OKC game 1 to save the cheeks of wives. I'm talking about the facial cheeks.
Oh, okay.
If they win, you got to be nervous about the other cheeks. But if they lose, you got to be nervous about this. So I'm going to OKC game 1.
Nestor was concerned there for a split second.
Whenever you say cheeks around Nestor, man, he gets excited for all the right reasons. I don't know what he's been looking at to the right of his screen the whole time, but you notice I said cheeks, and his ears perked up like a cat. Like, what? What are we talking about now? He ain't paid attention for half an hour. Somebody says cheeks, and Nestor's like, "What are we talking about?" I'm excited. A minute.
Now I'm not condoning violence in a small city in America, but I am going to take the Pacers to win Game 1 because that is what they do as of late. Is they come out and strike first. So I'm assuming they're going to continue that trend and catch the Thunder off guard here. So I know that the Thunder want to do it for the culture here in Game 1, but sorry, I'm picking the Pacers to rain on their little parade and to steal Game 1 on the road. Nestor.
And also, the phrase that Oklahoma City uses that says "thunder up." Shut up and fire somebody.
That's
man.
just lazy marketing.
Yeah,
The reason why we fly over your state.
that ChatGPT marketing. I would. I want OKC in the first game. Simple as that.
All right. Now listen, sirs, don't you let me down now. All right. Sunday, Game 2. A little dicey here. Still in OKC. I'll go first here. I'm going to take the Thunder here because I'm just assuming they lose the first one. They come out with their head screwed on right on Sunday, and they head to Indiana all tied up on whatever. I don't know. But yeah, give me the Thunder in Game 2. Mainly.
Taking Indiana in Game 2. What I'm really hoping for, Jalen, is that you and I are both 1-1 after these 2 games because I want Indiana to win both. I really do.
See.
God forbid what would happen in Indiana with Cornhusks if they go down 0-2. I don't know where that corn's going, but it's not going to be any place good. But I really just want, even though I think OKC is going to win, I want the Pacers to win. Even though my mind is saying OKC, my heart is with these corn fuckers over there. Yeah, I want the Pacers to win, so I'm taking them in Game 2. If you're going to win the series, you got to win 1 out of 2 to start. Got to win 1 out of 2. You can't go down 0-2 in the finals. So I'm taking Indiana in Game 2.
Nestor.
I'll take Indiana Game 2. I think it's gonna go back and forth this series. So, yeah, Indiana.
G Money.
Yeah, I think after Game 1, Indiana loses that one. They look at Game 2, and they figure out some of the defenses that Oklahoma's throwing at them, and Tyrese goes off on them. Plus, they figure out that, hey, if we pass the ball more, our guys they're the best team right now. Well, actually, they were the best team in the playoffs in catch and shoot threes. They were hitting 40. I want to say it was 40% on catch and shoot threes. That's not just stand up threes where you get to a point and you're not they're hitting 43%. But I think Game 2, they rain down threes, and there ain't no thunder. And that way, because if they do go 0-2, those corn husks, they go back to their original prison term of cornholing, and that's what happens. And that's not good for anybody.
Well, all this is very well said. Very, very well said. Yeah, it should be interesting. I think that some people are saying this is going to be a completely snooze fest of a finals, which I don't see that being the case entirely.
I think it'll be compelling. I think we'll see some good basketball. I just don't think
it's just not the teams you wanted to see. But in reality, except for Boston, that inexplicably blew leads and then had injuries, and then you find out, well, we had more injuries than what we, you know.
Mhm.
You didn't see anybody but OKC coming out of the West. The Lakers, we knew even before the playoffs they couldn't rim protect. They had no big man. Denver just couldn't figure it out. And then you look at everybody else and you're like, Minnesota, yeah, no, they've got Ant-Man, and Randall played well, but you just didn't know what you're going to. You just didn't know what you were going to get from him in the playoffs. So you figured it was going to be OKC and probably Cleveland or Boston. Unfortunately, neither of those teams made it. So now you've got OKC and Indiana, which should be, having watched both teams in the playoffs, should be a good series matchup. It really should. And hopefully it goes 7 games, and because none of us have any dog in this. Boston's not in, Miami's not in. I don't have an NBA team, so I can just sit back and watch and enjoy. So hopefully we see 6 or 7 games of really good basketball. It'll upset me, make me sad if it's like a 4-game sweep and it's not close. You're just like, what the hell? What happened here? How was it that both teams played well up until that point? Then one team played well and the other team didn't bother to show up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I do want to mention one thing, Dylan. I think it should be noted here. G Money, you're gonna know this person. I'm not sure if Jalen and Ness are gonna know this person. But NFL great Jim Marshall.
Oh, yes.
Minnesota Vikings, number 70. I know he played in 282 consecutive games. He was the captain of the Minnesota Vikings defense that led to 4 straight Super Bowls with Fran Tarkenton. Jalen, you might know who I'm talking about, Jim Marshall, because you might have seen the NFL films on it. Do you remember seeing a man scoop up a fumble back in the day for the Vikings and run it back into their own end zone for a safety? Have you ever seen that play? One of the more infamous plays in NFL history. On October 25th, 1964, Jim Marshall, fumbled by a 49ers running back, scoops up the ball, and he runs 66 yards for what he thinks is a touchdown. But he actually ran it into the wrong end zone, and it was a safety. That's actually worse than what Nate Newton did against the Dolphins on Thanksgiving, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. But Jim Marshall, man, 282 consecutive games at defensive end.
Wow.
In the 50s and 60s and 70s, like he was a stalwart. I know he played for Ohio State. They just won the national championship. So Jim Marshall, they didn't give a reason for death, but he passed away today. NFL great. God bless him. Thoughts and prayers out to him and his family. So
87.
there you go. Late great Jim Marshall. And if you haven't seen the play, you need to watch the play because it's funny. Because he's really confused when he walks into the end zone. He doesn't understand why everyone's yelling at him. It really is funny.
All right, gentlemen, we will bring this thing in for a landing here. Yeah, folks, want to thank you all for watching, listening. If you're not already following us on social media, that is Instagram and TikTok, we are at AFR Sports. So if you want to weigh in on the discussion in real time, want to have your comment read on the show like we did earlier, that's the best way to do so. Again, no show next week, but there'll still be videos going up throughout the week here. So we'll still be keeping up with the finals with you guys. So be sure to follow us there. With that being said, folks, we will talk to you all in 2 weeks. Have a excellent finals run here, and we will see you all next time.
Peace out, gentlemen.